Okay. This is an attempt at something good for, shall we say structure? Hello. This is an actual, like, Warframe video. This isn't like a stream. I'm going to treat this sort of like a stream. It's going to be mostly, off the cuff, sort of straight this sort of thing. And I'm just going to let it run. So what I'm here today to talk about is the mod Thunderbolt. It should be popping up on the screen right about now. This is myself mostly. But this mod, right here, in 30% chance to explode on bows, right? It's a thing. It exists. You probably have it because it drops quite frequently, especially if you're running something like fight roll or an interception mission or something. Eventually, it will explode. Eventually, whatever. It'll explode. 30% chance is not. So what I'm here to basically brainstorm is a Thunderbolt. I'm just gonna call it a rework, a complete rework, because it's gonna be the plans. I'm submitting this, hoping there's actually something comes out of this. It's a full-scale rework of this mod. The idea is we live in a world in which this game is in the state it currently is, where this is just what you use. The Brahma, the Tsar, what have you. And for good reason, just to speed things up, right? But, I mean, look at this. We live in a world where this is the norm, right? And for good reason. More and more enemy count requires easier and quicker ways to kill them. It makes sense. It makes sense. And I like it this way. I really dig the AoE. It's called I guess it's what it is. I really like it. Consequence of this being, the consequence of it has been single target has completely fallen off the wayside outside of really niche cases. Things like niche cases being apparently the Zenith and the Rubico being really good for Eidolon and Prophet Taker. Extremely good things here. This thing being what it is, being new and absolutely fucking wrecked face, right? Most of these that I have here, honestly, most of what I have, like single target rifles and whatnot, are primes. Or they're things I just genuinely like. The Astilla, I just really like the Astilla, like the prime. So, just have to build them on my Switch again. Whatever, it's not. Things like the prime, just for example, single target. And unless you have punch through, you're shooting one enemy at a time, and it's taking a good while to kill said enemy, especially because it is a prime. Now, the idea is quite simple. I think something like a Coleman, and you have your thing over here, but then you have this or something with single target where you can just go brrrr. Personally, this all stems, just laying my cards out on the table here, this all stems from the want to use the Tenet Tetra. This thing could have been really cool. It could have had a unique ability, sort of like where is it? Ironic Prime, where it has its own, after it gets kills, it gets like a ghost second hand where you can dual wield and just lay into things. Excellent idea. This, however, does not have any special gimmick. Honestly, it's because it already has all fire. It's already got the single target massive multiplier here. But here, this thing is excellent. Like, the punch through, fantastic. It just goes. And like once you get it like ranked up, it's just phenomenal. Problem with it being is not its kill times. The problem with it is that you're only killing one thing at a time, which then, again, leads into the problem that we've created, with our insistence that we must use the AoE meta. Which I'm not saying is the wrong decision. Full disclosure, I think that is the way forward. More and more enemy counts. More and more enemies just everywhere. It's just what you do. My solution is, instead of something like Tread, I put Thunderbolt. However, Thunderbolt cannot be applied. It cannot be applied. Why is that? It's specifically for bows, and it was made like years and years and years and years and years ago. So it makes sense, and it's very, very investigated. Honestly speaking, that's what weird. When you have a game this old, it's like, yeah, unless you're constantly optimizing it for work, it's gonna be a little tangled, little spaghetti, whatever. It's not the point. I'm not trying to then do it. I'm not trying to put the game down in this game. Point I'm trying to make is that, simply put, Prime Firestorm. What does this even do? What does this even do? Fucking nothing. It does nothing. You cannot hit things with Firestorm. Like, you can apply it on here, but what does it do? Absolutely nothing. It'd be one thing if the bullets themselves had AoE already. It'd be one thing. And you apply Firestorm. Maybe it'd be interesting. See, we also have this. I'm not suggesting, I'll get back to being weapons, like I said, but just for a case point example, this thing, if you apply Firestorm to it, it already has apparently a small AoE. So if you apply Firestorm to it, then you can affect all the targets surrounding it within its AoE range. It's quite solid. It does seem to be rather interesting because apparently that AoE is rather directional. You're hitting things to the side and the front all the time, which interesting, and I kind of like that. But see, with beam weapons, we'll get back to those actually. I'm trying to be extremely conscious and stop it. The idea being is that things like Sun Prime, Stradivar Prime, Sybaris, especially burst weapons, but Tenora Prime, Tiburon, at least one of its modes. Actually, I'm not sure, does the Trumna have, does the Trumna have radial attack? Does it have radius? It does. It does have a tiny amount of radius. But things like Zooch Prime, excellent example of sort of what I'm getting at. The problem with Zooch Prime is you wind up in a situation where you're too close. Bang, 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 bang. I would like to see Thunderbolt applied to basically all primary weapons except, even though some weapons would benefit greatly from it, they still are shotguns, beam weapons, and I'm not sure what else. Just looking at things here, like specialty launchers, AoE weapons already should not benefit from this at all. Should not benefit from it at all. this, it doesn't, they've already got Firestorm, they don't need, shouldn't have it. Why? So, I think what I'm going to do now is go through the wiki page for Prime Firestorm. Let's just switch over right there really fast. Yes, I'm again. I'm doing this from OBS, and just really haphazard and really whatever. But the idea still stands. You know, it makes more sense. So Thunderbolt, this mod here. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? Okay, that was weird. My mouse wasn't showing. So this mod right here, I'll blow it up in Premiere so you can actually see everything. Go on the screen again. It's just simple. It's simple. Thunderbolt, 30% chance to explode. Use with caution. Use with caution doesn't really matter anymore because self-damage is gone. Thunderbolt is a mod that gives arrows fired from primary bows a chance of exploding on impact of a surface of an enemy. In notes here, this is basically how it functions. The explosion deals 250 blast damage to the target, as well as to nearby enemies within 10 meters of blast. Fantastic. Fantastic right off the bat. The damage doesn't matter. 10 meters right off the bat. Excellent. The explosion inflicts self-stagger. Unlike area blasts of dedicated blast weapons like launchers, Thunderbolt does not have a safety distance to prevent self-stagger. Furthermore, if the shot hits and explodes close enough to you, it will do a full knockdown instead of just a self-stagger. So it's basically like if you're point blank shooting it at the ground, yeah, you're gonna blow yourself all around. Right? The explosive damage from this mod cannot be increased with base damage such as Serration and elemental mods such as Hellfire. Right there. But it will be increased by Bane mods. Does that actually show up? Be increased by Bane mods like Bane Infested. See, this is the crux of the issue with this mod when nobody uses it. Because it deals 250 blast damage. And that's it. It does not scale at all with Serration or elemental mods at all. Nothing. So it does a pitiful amount of damage. It does not seem to carry over status. When I was testing it earlier on the stream, when I was testing it earlier, it does not seem to carry over status. And so it basically, all it does is transmits a pitiful portion of the damage. See, compared to launchers, the Thunderbolt Blast has full punch through, like most launchers, and zero fall off throughout its entire area of effect. Unlike most launchers, I guess there's a quotation there. Most launchers and zero fall off throughout its entire area of effect. Unlike most launchers, so it has no fall off whatsoever. So all enemies take full damage, even at the most outer edges of the blast while behind cover. See, that's interesting. That's really interesting. The blast area is increased by Firestorm or primed Firestorm. The explosions are silent. And arrows fired at terrain and other surfaces will explode, but not arrows fired at teammates or other allies. I wish that would carry over to the Zooch Prime, because otherwise it would be nearly as useless. When the explosion occurs, the projectile of the arrow causing that is actually dissolved. Thus, any subsequent mechanics relating to the projectile will not happen, such as punching through with a spore coming out of the arrow in the middle of this scenario. See, this is basically low down how it works. What I would like to see is, I'm just going to switch back to right here. What I would like to see is just on T4. We put it on, right? Let's say you get rid of the punch. Let's say it has no punch. It doesn't have. No, it has full punch through. Okay. So say you get rid of the punch through, or add it. I guess let's start with the no punch through. With no punch through, you would be shooting this guy, and then it would, be, as a result, if you kept it the range of it at 10 meters, these would be taking the full brunt of it as well. So you'd be shooting him but effectively be shooting everything around in this sort of range, like so. From here, it'd be shooting here and like over here. Just to be sure. Yeah, this is 60. This is only 5 meters here. This is only 5-6 meters. So I mean, you're all the way from here. That kind of AoE is kind of wild. That is a really large AoE. Now, so in order to make this work with single target weapons, not just fully automatic, not just the most semi-auto, not just burst, single target, just blanket statement. So anything in that category for the most part, primaries that are basically rifles. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that for secondaries as well, but the power creep might be a little bit nutty there. Not sure. And it shouldn't affect beam weapons either. It should strictly affect things like rifles, or things like your pistol, like maybe this, maybe not, something like this. Just your standard pew pistol, whatever. But it should primarily be focused on, like, maybe having a separate one for this. Primarily be focused on rifles. Specifically, at least in my case, these fully automatic rifles. Probably what I'm more than willing to discuss this and bounce off with other people, because power creep is a thing. It will be a thing. This thing, it has merciless, it has all the things. It has firestorm on it. What did I have on it? I had shred. Yeah, so I mean, you can throw things like galvanized aptitude on it, that might affect it. But this build would be pretty fucking good. Pretty fantastic. But I would absolutely drop shred. Because, I mean, this is pretty much the end result, the end build of its Nora Prime. So, until you get a Riven, this is pretty much it. At least from what I can tell. I mean, well, you throw on Vigilante supplies there, but you need an excellent mod. I'd like to see Thunderbolt probably thrown into Exilus. But given the nature of Exilus mods being specifically like utility, reload when holster, or minus recoil, or zoom while aim gliding, ammo maximum. I still don't know why. Let's see. Where is it? Do I not have? Yeah, fast hands. I don't have prime fast hands. But I still don't understand why fast hands is not in here. If this is in there, whatever. But that's not. So, okay, so let's move on from that idea, but say it has to be in this group here. You drop shred. Or, better yet, on a lot of weapons, you drop firestorm. This with 10 meters, you don't need firestorm. This effectively would just act like a firestorm for non-AoE weapons, turning them into AoE weapons. That's generally the goal, the idea. The explosion deals 250 blast damage to the target in 10 meters, with no follow. And there's punch through. Probably the best way to go about it is to just completely scrap that blast damage and have it, and it doesn't scale with mods. And have it scale with mods. Scrap the blast damage, just make it full on AoE, and have everything else scale with mods. So basically what you're seeing here, viral heat, make it scale with mods. Make it scale with that. The beats. All it does is essentially just turn all this into an AoE. Or you keep the blast on, and then also keeps you, and perhaps you're more interested in running galvanized aptitude. That might be interesting. Who knows? Honestly, if you were to need to do that, though, it would be nice to have an extra 2 slots over here or something, when it comes down to it, there's a few things that I would absolutely love to see. And, I would love to see, that initial idea. You don't need to have it on Firestorm. You don't need to have it on AoE weapons. These don't need it. These just don't need it. Built enemies. Right? And just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna use the root on, my buff on the root that I have. I don't need it. Yeah, now that I've got a single stack like that, there it is. It's over. Like, with this kind of AoE, it's not even fair. It's just not. It's not even fair. There's nothing that can compete with this. And I'm not saying nerf this. No nerfing. And also, to be fair, I am running a serious buff. It was just for a demonstration of its AoE and its how easy, how quick you can make it. Yeah, this is buffed. 393% extra damage there. It's a buff. Sure, yes, so, if you were to go in here, there's no reason, like with Firestorm being where it is, and like what it is, like the range of it already is 13.78, there is no reason to throw on Thunderbolt. There's no reason. This thing already explodes. It's already an explosive buff. So, just talking like, there's no reason for it, and I think that kind of power creep would be ridiculous, especially if it, if you were to, the damage is really, what it comes down to. If you're just adding 10 meters of range, then, perhaps this would, it would be better than Firestorm. If I were to take this off, yeah, it'd be better than Firestorm, certainly, because you would then get an extra, basically 5 meters. So there's no reason for this to work on. I think that would be power creep. I think that would be a bit ridiculous. Beam weapons as well. Beam weapons certainly don't need it. But when it comes to the Phantasma, I'm pretty sure this has punch through. Yeah, it has punch through. And it does an unbelievable amount of heat. And it rarely crits. So, I mean, it's absolutely nothing. I mean, doing, several thousand just in heat. Look at that. Yeah, this does not need just the innate puncher that it has. It does not need explosion radius. I mean, this might, but I could also just throw Firestorm. I don't think it should apply to beam weapons whatsoever. Especially with things like this, I don't think it's required. Things like this, not Firestorm, Thunderbolt, excuse me. Things like this certainly don't need it. I'm fairly certain you could just add this. I'm fairly certain. But at the same time, I have no reason to I don't use this thing. Something like this would be quite interesting. I wonder if it does have an explosion. It does not. Oh wait, no, this does. Yeah, it does have an explosion range of 1.6. So it's piddly. It's piddly. It's absolutely garbage. There's no reason to use it. There's no reason to use it. There's just not. So when you have something like just prime them. Just a demonstration of it. This is basically unmodded, so keep that in mind. It's not necessarily representative. But right there. 10. You can see it. Where every once in a while, it's like all these guys move. Yeah, it's like it even affects me from here. Make that 100%. Make it 100% chance. Essentially turning this, turning this into something like, was it the new, what is it? This thing, the new later, where it turns it into, essentially, or like this. Yeah, like this is an excellent example. This is sort of like what I would like to see Thunderbolt do to the Sonora Prime. I would like to see this. This is what I would like to see. This is an excellent weapon, like when it's fully kitted out and everything's going good for it. This is exactly what I would like to see for the Sonora Prime. Albeit with a bit more AoE. Now, so going against my own case, you know, there's a few things that would absolutely be a little ridiculous. But I still want it done anyway. This thing. Specifically, with kinetic ricochet. The Tetra weapons with kinetic ricochet. I would love to see this happen. Because then you could do this. And if you look around, you can see it's everywhere. Now imagine you remove the punch through, like maybe kinetic energy, whatever it is, what it's called. Mod is called. Maybe that just innately disables punch through, and maybe that's the solution. Or perhaps removing punch through altogether on that mod. I'm not sure. Like AoE punch through I think is one thing, but like innate, like, you know, projectile punch through is another. This thing, where I believe it can bounce up to 7 times? Kinetic ricochet, that's what it is. 6 times. Bounce 6 times and travel 30% further. Bouncing 6 times and exploding each time it makes contact with a wall. Because remember, like, Thunderbolt does explode with contact with the wall. I think this, forget this. Forget that. Forget that. Nobody cares about this. They nerfed it, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, they nerfed it, basically it had no fall off, and that's why it's so good. But nobody cares about that. Nobody cares. What if instead I could just do this? And it's bouncing everywhere. Now imagine that in a hallway. Put that in a hallway. It bounces and explodes. I don't know. Like, I'm still working on this idea mostly. I think I got it from like where I want it to be. Where I'm looking for a way to just flip the meta upside down in a way that doesn't upset the current meta. If that makes sense. I don't want to completely invalidate the playstyle of people who use this thing, because I do. Like, if you look at my player stats, where is it? Do I have it in here? I don't have it. But my player stats, it's like, almost exclusively I play Wukong, I run with this, and I run with the neutral. Melee, you know, maybe I run it because Wukong, I don't like running melee with Wukong sometimes, because I'd just rather have 2 Brahmas instead of just 1 with this. Right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, now you can have 2 Brahmas. You can just do that. You seem to be invulnerable. I'm actually curious. So it's not. Why are they invulnerable? Am I just killing them too quick? So like, oh no, you can't do that in the simulacrum. I mean, whatever. Like right here. Like basically just turning this into an Excel. Right? This is what I'm sort of looking for. This is what I'm looking for the Sonora Prime. It's completely selfish. I don't want to see this work on shotguns, Shotguns are supposed to be big fuck-off boomsticks, for single target. Unless they're, this thing. With their big fuck-off boomsticks for multi-target routes. Makes sense. Right? Whatever. Same thing with this, same thing with that, but these are also beam weapons, so this thing might could use it. I don't know. It's kind of boring. That could be powered. That gets serious power actually. Bonico, same thing. It's a launcher basically. It shouldn't have access. Alternox. This thing as well. I wanted to see this thing be like that fucking gun from Doom, the one where it shoots blue plasma balls. I wanted to see this thing do that, but it's totally not. So, beam weapon. No. Basically, we're looking to turn other primary weapons into an extended. That's what I'm sort of looking for, but using the Thunderbolt mod as a way to do it. I'm using Thunderbolt, just as a medium, just because it's a mod that's ancient and it's just meh. It's ancient and it's really just it needs to either be removed because it's useless or fixed. Really spectacular. Because this thing, I would love to be able to use this in more content. I would probably use this more than the Brahma. If I could just go down a hallway and everything dies in a huge thing. So I guess to reiterate here, I guess what I'm thinking here is removing the blast damage altogether, keeping it 10 meters AOE, having all the damage or I should say, or if you keep the blast damage, have it scale off Serration and Hellfire, or or elemental, base damage mods or elemental mods. I'm just looking at the way these examples. Perhaps remove the punch through and keep the AoE, the AoE punch through. Probably add some fall off because 10 meters with no fall off is kind of fucking broken. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you're testing it, it's good enough. But if D were to be testing this and it was good enough, like without fall off, to where it could compete, but also not be absurdly broken with these sort of guns. That'd be one thing. It needs to carry out status as well. It seems at this point it does not inflict status on its AoE, which is odd, and it should. And the arrow, like when it explodes, if it's bouncing or something, when it explodes, it should not quote-unquote dissolve. So specifically, like if you were to have punch through on a weapon itself, have innate punch through, it should explode through a target. It would explode on contact with the target, go through, and explode on a second target. And that's it. That's probably like the max you would go through. I think that would be really interesting. I think that'd be worth testing. This thing could be, these changes could be exceptionally buggy and a nightmare to do. But hey, it's just still a thought experiment. And of course, fired at terrains and surfaces so explode. But not arrows fired at teammates and other allies. Fantastic still. That's fine. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like, multi-shot, should obviously, multi-shot should work with it, obviously. It work with everything. But that seems to generally be, like, where I'm sort of feeling with the whole thing. Where I'm, like, my idea is, like, what I'm positing, where it should go. Because this is fantastic for me. I do like this. I do like the bullet hose. But I don't like it when I could just, basically instant kill everything in my way. Like, we already saw the Brahma. You can go rewind. We already saw the Brahma. We saw this function. It works. It's good. It's fine. It works. But it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And there's no way this is going to be able to compete with something like the Brahma, the Tsar, the alt fire on the Tenet Tetra, the Ogress. It's just nothing can compete. None of these are going to be able to compete, and so it's going to be very niche. Which I think is a problem when like 90% of your primary and secondary weapons are just kind of like, completely fallen by the wayside because something else is just so good. And again, I'm not saying nerf everything else. I think as much as everything can be, everything should be brought up to the same level. Sometimes nerfs are justified, but we've already nerfed the Brahma like 3 times, and we've still nerfed the catch move. Which, by the way, I'm still salty about. It's been like 3 years since that thing has been completely started getting nerfed, and it got completely nerfed again. With the primary catch move where they changed the projectile's size and its shape and everything, completely changing how it functions. I hate it. I'll never get over that until it's reverted. I could live with the original nerf, but that second change, like with the primary catch move affecting the secondary, is just, there's no point in using it. There's really no point in using it in its original use case, which was a tiny pocket, shotgun, arc plasma. But, I think that's really where I'm probably just going to leave it. This is 36 minutes of me rambling. But generally speaking, I think I've got the idea of like, what I want to convey here. Yeah. So basically, buff Thunderbolt. That's really it. Buff Thunderbolt. Be sure to subscribe. Whatever. Follow, subscribe, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't really care. I just want this shared around. I want this. I'm going to send this. Just shamelessly send this to the DP or Twitter or some shit. I don't know. Because I think this is an excellent idea, or at the very least, a good place to spring off of. Because I think that mod could get some serious love, and could very well, if you just apply it to primary weapons like rifles, if you just apply it to something like that, even if it's at 30% chance to explode, that could be interesting, but I really think it should. It should probably be 100% chance to explode. That would probably be best. Yeah. Generally speaking, I think that's where I want to go with this. And I think that's about it. I'm going to wrap up there. So, bye.